Right now, of course, the situation remains incredibly dangerous. The focus is still on the facility's number 3 reactor. What we are now saying is that the evidence we're having from our fixed-wing aircraft, from the helicopters, and our pictures from satellites indicate that the water being dumped on that to try to cool down the reactor's spent fuel is just simply not working. Doesn't mean it's not going to work, but it's not working right now. So all of that is incredibly a huge downer. But what, by the way, calling it a downer, a dramatic understatement. But what struck me about this, and what I know that would really bother me if the situation were happening here, was just a little item that I heard about and then read about earlier this morning. Shockingly, there is a time this morning that was earlier. So the U.S. Navy, the 7th Fleet, is saying that they have sent 100 nuclear, biological, and chemical firefighting suits and masks were delivered from the USS George Washington to the government of Japan this morning for use at Fukushima. Now, how much would it disturb you if we had this terrible disaster here, which is obviously possible? We have 20 plants here in the United States that are built the exact same way that the Fukushima plant is built. How much would it bum you out if, while we were dealing with this disaster, a similar disaster, an inability to predict what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes at a nuclear plant, and fears of a meltdown and a major, if not 3 Mile Island-like, worst case scenario, Chernobyl-like disaster, how much would it disturb you if we had to get 100 firefighting suits and masks from another country? I mean, you think we'd be like, oh, it's no big deal. Canada gave us some suits, France sent us some suits, or Japan sent us some suits. How could the people who made the Walkman not have enough suits to deal with this crisis? I mean, that little item, that little fact right there tells me that they are totally not prepared for this. Now, I don't think you need that fact to tell you that they're not prepared for this. You've watched television. But again, 100 nuclear, biological, chemical suits delivered from the USS George Washington by us, God bless us, from the 7th Fleet to the government of Japan this morning to help guys get in there and do their job. They don't have the suits. Maybe the suits were destroyed. But again, they need to be somewhere where they wouldn't be destroyed. Man, it is, I don't know, I found that to be an incredibly depressing piece of news, and I'd be outraged if I lived in Japan. Although, if I lived in Japan, obviously you'd have other things to worry about. But I found that to be sort of a little stunning piece of information.